No matter how or what happens in your life, you are still going to get stressed. Now, stress has only been in the literature for 25, 30 years, and in 25, 30 years, they've come up with 800 formal definitions for it. Now, if it's only been around for, 25, 30 years, does that mean stress, has only existed for 25, 30 years? No, it's been around since when? Since forever. I need a volunteer. Anyone? Volunteer. All right, quick, you're up. Stress, Renee, has been around since cave times. You're my cave woman for the day. Now, what do cave women have to be stressed about? Cavemen, being dragged by the hair and stuff like that. Not a really cool thing. Food, what else? Dinosaurs. Big, not just dinosaurs, big, ugly, scary, green dinosaurs. Now, just pretend for a second this, Renee was a cave girl, and this was a big, scary green dinosaur. What's stressful about this situation? Which means die. No offense, but you're wrong. The stress comes not knowing what to do. What are her choices? She can what? Two things. One, she's got a club, she can fight. Exactly. Or flight. Run away. Now, you just found out where stress comes from. It is the question mark that exists between these two things, or I'd like to call it uncertainty. In my neat writing, it's uncertainty. That's where stress comes from in your life. Just say Renee chooses to fight. Is that still stressful, yes or no? Yeah, she could get beaten up and lose anyway, so that's stressful. What if she chooses to run away? Is that stressful, yes or no? Yeah, she could get mowed down and eaten anyway. You remember when when you're getting chased and you're having a fight with your brother or your sister or whatever, and you're running, and it's in a dream sometimes, and it feels like you're running on the spot because you're trying to run so far. Is that just me? All right. I know you know what I'm talking about, all right? Stress comes in your life from these question marks that pop up. So what I want to give you is some tips, some techniques, some bonus information on how to handle this stress. Life's like a tabletop. How poetic, right? How philosophical. Life's like a tabletop. What's a tabletop like with one leg? Useless. Let's call that one leg study. Do you know I get invited to some schools to ask their students to stop studying so much? You're like, that's so not our school. But it happens. I get asked to schools to do exactly that. You can't just study. What is a tabletop like with two legs? Still pretty ordinary. It's going to fall over. Let's call it, you might have heard of this. It's called exercise. Exercise. Repeat that with me. Exercise. All right, you might try and do some of it. The current Australian, target for exercise is run a bath, pull the plug, fight the current. We are couch potatoes, I'm telling you. Now, what is a tabletop like with three legs? Will it stay there, yes or no? Yeah. You put pressure on a three-legged table, what happens to it? Falls clean over. Let's call that stuff. Very descriptive. That's stuff you do. You might play a musical instrument. You might, protest against the war. You do stuff to do, extracurricular stuff. Some of you might be school captains, all that kind of stuff, right? Tabletop with four legs. Stays there. Let's call that, what's missing? Hello? Party, social. If I stand in the middle of a four-legged table, what happens is my weight gets distributed evenly between all four legs. So the structure becomes stronger. However, if I move to the edge of one of those tables and this chair ain't much better, what happens to me? I'm going to fall over. No, I won't give you a demonstration. Is the pressure, Think about it. Is the pressure right in the middle of your life? No way. It moves all over the place. Where is it now? Most of the pressure would be over here. It's your final year of school. Who's above that pressure? Mum. 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 Dad gets a look in. Teachers. Who's really above it? You. It is your perception of those people that's creating the pressure. It's actually not them. But we'll keep blaming Mum, it's fine. You can be scientific or not scientific. If all the pressure is right there under that leg and it's going to break, what do you need to do to that leg to make the table stay? Make it fatter, is what someone said at the last school. Make it fatter. Reinforce it is what I think she meant, all right? You need to reinforce it, and which means make it fatter. Make it bigger, because all the pressure's there. So study should be this big one. And, you move exercise over a little bit. Exercise. Think about it. When you finish, all the pressure's where? Yeah, you bet. For those first 2 months out of school, in fact, social should be bigger than your life. You should be holding on just. You should almost be dead. No, I'm sorry, don't say that. Right? You do not want that stuff. You've got to have a big fat social thing happening when you finish school. You have to. This is part of life. But until you get there, study should be the big one. Does that mean you give up stuff, yes or no? No way, because that means you've got a three-legged table. Do you know that the students who get involved in lots of activities actually perform better than the students who just study? So there's nothing wrong with being on the Student Representative Council. There's nothing wrong with, doing things that you believe in. There's nothing wrong with playing sport. There's nothing wrong with playing a musical instrument. Just don't do it all the time. Do all those things plus study. And if all the pressure, which it will at times, moves over here, then what do you do to that leg? Make it bigger. It is a social timetable. Who's got a party on Saturday night? What's your name? Crystal, where do you live? Party, Crystal's house, 7 o'clock, Saturday night. If you're not invited, crash it, all right? Now, Crystal, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing that we need from about 3 o'clock Saturday to start getting ready. I'm also guessing we need till at least 3 o'clock the next day to get over it. How do you feel the next day when you get up? Crap. Yeah, so what do you need? Macca's. Big, greasy hamburger. How do you feel after that? Worse. So you need to go and worship the porcelain goddess for 2 hours. Oh. No. Most of you go back to sleep or you just do nothing for 2 hours. So let's call that end time. Nothing time, all right? Then you also realise you've got maths test in a couple of weeks, so you better do some study somewhere, so you block it out here. Do some study here. Now you play sport on Saturdays, you've got a part-time job. So you've got this study stuff here, and you can't do it Saturday morning because Saturdays are so important, you've got other stuff to do, so you figure, when else will I get some study for my maths test? And you go, Friday night. Yeah, right. But if you knew that you were going to party for 28 hours the next day, do you think maybe, kind of like possibly, you could say no to doing laps on a Friday night? Tell me this, in the holidays, did you even know what day it was? No. You get up in the morning and you go, what day is it? Monday. I love Mondays, I love them, right? And then you get up now and you go, it's Monday, and you're like, oh, I hate Mondays. and you go and get 7 coffees because you just have this mental thing about Mondays. What's the difference? It's contrast. The reason you told me Saturday, Sunday, the best days of the week is because you don't have to go to school. So Saturday and Sunday is only rule because Monday to Friday suck. But if you didn't have to do anything Monday to Friday, then it wouldn't be any difference. So think about this. The harder you work Monday to Friday, the better Saturday, Sunday is going to be. Who goes out and parties and knows they should be out partying? That's how it should be. When you party, that's what you do. When you study, that's what you do. Don't study wishing I was partying, and don't go out and feel guilty. Why bother? You've got to get a recharge. There's nothing wrong with spending Saturday night out. Don't do stupid things to yourself, like, bad for your health. But just go out and have a good time with your friends. Go to the movies, chill out, whatever. None of this stuff. But just chill out. Nothing wrong with it. Don't feel guilty about it. Would you feel guilty, though, if you nailed 2 hours of study on Friday night? Yes or no? No way. You feel fine. You're like, I've done the work I needed to do. And you also know that you've set aside a couple of hours on Sunday to do it. Who gets grief from their parents about going out? Let me see your hands. Be honest. All of us, Mum's like, what are you going out again? Da, da, da. Here is the solution to grief from parents about going out. On a Sunday night, spend 10 minutes planning what you're going to do for the week. Come up and say, right, I'm going to run every morning at 7 a.m. Yeah, right. But just pretend. You're going to exercise everyone. And I've got stuff here, so I'll study here, just get a couple of hours in there, big night, Thursday night, and that's enough. And you put all your other activities around, you've got stuff here, you've got school in here, can't do it there, and you have your timetable. Take that to your mum on the Sunday night, and a couple of things will happen. First thing is, she will fall off her chair. She's like, you did a plan? Yes, Mum. And then she'll snap out and go, oh, yeah, but you won't stick to it. You say, I'll do your deal, Mum. If I stick to it, can I go to Crystal's party on Saturday night? That's a pretty good deal. If you stick to that, what mother wouldn't say yes? I'll say yes. Then you get to the end of the week and you've actually done it. When you say to your mum right here, Mum, can I go to that party? She'll be like, sure, I'll drive you. You're like, Mum, can I stay out till midnight? She says, no, stay out till 3 a.m. I'll get up and come and pick you up. Yeah, right. But in all seriousness, she's much more likely to say yes. Don't you agree with that? If you got this stuff, not only that, but you feel better about the whole thing. Get it done. Why don't these work for other people? Why don't they work? Yeah. Does that mean this doesn't work, or does that mean you don't work? Yeah, it's not this, it's us. If you stick to it, they work. Here is why most of you will find this very, very difficult to stick to. For one simple reason. You will fill every single block with activities. Everything. You have this great, and you have highlighters look really pretty. All right? And then what will happen is, you thought it would take you half an hour to get home from work. It actually took you 45 minutes, which then stuffed up all of this stuff, and then your calendar was useless, so you screwed it up, chucked it in the bin. That essay you think is going to take you half an hour, it doesn't. It always takes an hour. What you thought will take you 50 minutes, it's going to take you an hour and 10. But if you've got, and here's my tip, if you've got lots and lots of blank space, nothing time, end time, if you've got lots and lots of end time, when the things go too long, what do they eat into? Nothing time. So you're not wasting any other stuff. If by some miracle you actually got everything done for the week, what are you doing nothing time? Like everything done on time, what are you doing nothing time? Nothing. And you have it every day. I'm going to show you my timetable. By the way, I own a company that does a whole series of different things, so I consider myself pretty busy. I am 1,200 kilometres from home, but that's my weekly one there. Nothing else on there. I have nothing locked in to any of those other time slots. Nothing. Now, if I was at home in the office, I will tell you the truth, my planner would have more in it than that does. It would. But I guarantee you there'd be 2-3 hours a day where there's nothing in there. Because I know things come up. Hello, this is planet Earth. Things pop up all the time. You've got a life. Plus, I need to have a little bit of flexibility that if my friend rings and we've got a really great opportunity, like go to a concert or there's something I believe in that comes up that I hadn't quite planned on, I can say yes. But I can only say yes because I know I've got the other time allocated to when I'm going to do different activities. There's a column down the side of a weekly plan. You should always have down the side of your planner a column where you've got to-dos, the things you actually have to do. Now, I would normally have a series of stuff down there as well. I'm just showing you my weekly one. I didn't want to just create one that I show everyone because that'd be like making it up and you wouldn't believe me that I actually do it. This is mine, and this is not perfect. But you notice I use different highlighters for for the different activities. Yellow's when I speak, blue's when I'm having a meeting, this red stuff's when I got some of my coaching clients that I'm working with in Melbourne, like heaps of different stuff. And it's just all locked in there. You can do exactly the same thing. Some days you cannot be bothered doing anything. And if it's study, then you are going to be able to get away with not doing it. That's fine. So you're going to have those days. It's not a perfect world. You have good days, you have bad days. You're up, you're depressed. You know, all this is all of us. So don't freak out if you do decide, forget this. I'm not going to do anything on that day. Go and reward yourself. Get a massage, go and, kick the footy by yourself, take a walk, whatever. But then maybe some of the nothing time you've got in the other days where you are a little bit more focused, you catch up on it in the nothing time. Does that make sense? That's a pretty good deal. If you've got the nothing time, you have the flexibility to do that stuff. That's the beauty of having the nothing time in your timetable. That's what will make the difference. The way you handle the stress of exams is about the way you take care of yourself. And also a couple of little things you should be thinking about right at exam time. So I'm talking 48 hours before your exams. 7 things. 7. Number 1, you need to do light revision. Light revision. Be honest, who studies their textbook the night before an exam? Yeah, all of you, exactly. That is not light revision. Here's what happens. One of 3 things happen when you study your textbook the night before an exam. One of 3 things. Here's what happens. First one is this. I'm going to stand up so you can totally see what I'm about to do. First thing is this. Before you know it, the whole class is stressed out about page 166 of the textbook. You spend all night studying and it's not even in the exam the next day. Has that ever happened to you before? Yes. Second thing that happens is this. You get out your textbook and you're like, oh, I better do well tomorrow. And some of you pull an all-nighter as you study every single page and you get to the exam the next day and you don't remember anything that you studied. Has that ever happened to you before? Yeah. Third thing that happens is this. You get out your textbook and you feel it and you're like, oh. You go back to watching Passions again, right? Do not study your textbook the night for an exam because it will stress you out. Just the size of it will stress you out. Step 2 is this. You need to get some. Yeah, that would be good too. Sleep. Who has trouble sleeping the night before an exam? Keep your hand up if you do stuff right until you go to bed. Mostly the same hands up. Bit of a pattern there. Here's why. What is your brain working? Waves. First one is beta, brainwave. Second one is alpha. Third one is the one, someone said gamma. No, that's like cancerous stuff, right? Third one is theta. This one's on telly. Blip, blip, meep. No, you're not dead. I'm just kidding, right? Theta, brainwave. Then you've got the most important one for sleep. It's called a delta, brainwave. Do you ever sleep 10 hours and you get up the next day and you're still tired? Don't you hate that? Here's why. You didn't get enough of this. Delta brainwave sleep. Average Australian gets 15 minutes. You actually need 60. And you're still tired the next day. Does being tired increase your stress levels, yes or no? You bet it does, right? You think you've got adrenaline to go all day. No, you don't. You've got about 3 hours of adrenaline in your body. Once you go through that, you start breaking your system down. That is a very, very stressful situation to be in physically. And when you are physically stressed, you'll become mentally stressed as well. So what do we need to do? We need to make sure we get some decent sleep. Now, here is what I started talking about. I said who does stuff right up until they go to bed. If you are in really full-on activity right until you go to bed, chances are when you put your head on the pillow, you want to beat a brainwave. So you're buzzing, you're going zzz, and you put your head on the pillow and it's going zzz. And when you can't sleep, what do you think about? Sleep. And when you can't sleep and you think about sleep, does it help you sleep? No, and then you start counting sheep, and you're like, how many sheep till I go to sleep? And you're like, that's it, I've had enough. And you get up and watch SBS for the rest of the night, all right? Too many. Why the girls know what I'm talking about? That's a bloke. Right? You need to let your brain slow down before you go to bed. Do nothing for half an hour before you go to bed. Run a bath, light some candles, and relax. Three, you need to what? To have a light breakfast. Does that mean little breakfast, yes or no? No. Does it mean no breakfast, yes or no? No way. It means light breakfast. Light includes a swear word. It's called fruit. Repeat that after me. Repeat it now. It's good for you. Someone said to me a couple of days ago, I have 8 pieces of toast. That's a good breakfast. I said, no. What happens when you mix flour and water? Glue. You have 8 pieces of toast and you have a brick in your stomach. And you walk around going, I'm feeling good. 2 pieces of toast is enough bread in the morning. Try and have some fruit, some cereal to push all that stuff through your digestive system. And, it looks like this. Get all the good stuff up here to force it all down the bottom there, all right? A bit of grain to help bring that through. Have a nice light breakfast. By the way, who doesn't have breakfast in the room? I will pick on you later. You need number 4 to avoid sugar. I know you don't like that very much, but think about this. You need to avoid sugar. Why? Because your brain feeds on what? Glucose. But hang on, isn't that what sugar is? Yeah, but what happens is your brain needs a very particular amount of sugar. So we think, who's ever been told chocolate's brain food? Yeah. And the guy that owns Cadbury told you that, right? Yes, chocolate is good for you. Eat more chocolate. I make money when you do. Here is why they said that. Because your brain feeds on glucose. Let's call this blood sugar, in brackets glucose, right? This is time. So they figured the more glucose you give your brain, the better it's going to work. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, but the idiot who told you that didn't realize that when you eat all that glucose, you go boom and your blood sugars go through the roof. And that's poisonous for your system. So then your body pumps in insulin. Hyper, deadhead. Hyper, deadhead. Hyper, deadhead all day long. Some of you are like, that's my life. Avoid sugar. You want foods that get you in this range. Who wants to know what some of them are? Apples. Apples, #1 brain food in the world. Fruit, salad rolls are brilliant. Eat that kind of food. It's good for you, but don't skip breakfast and eat it. Why not eat it straight away so you start the day up here? So you straight away get up to where you need to be. What's number 5? You need to drink. What should you drink instead of all that sugar-based stuff? Water. Lots of it. 2 litres a day of water. Do not drink 2 litres before your exam, because where will you spend your exam? 6 means breathe. You really need to breathe. In fact, breathing deeply from your stomach. Diaphragm. Deep diaphragmic breath. Here is the tip. When you're in an exam, stop after every essay and breathe, because what it does is slow your heart rate down. And when you slow your heart rate, you slow your brain rate down. Do you remember those brain waves I had up here? That one was called alpha. That is called the brain wave of accelerated learning. That is when you are creative. That's when you just remember stuff that you don't even remember even studying. It just comes out. That's called an alpha brain state. It's accelerated learning. How do you get it? You slow your heart rate and your brain rate down. Breathing more deeply will do that for you. Now, if you're in the middle of your first essay and you know you've got at least 20 minutes to go and everyone's going, you better hurry up. All right? It's like a time management tool in your exams. Last but not least, this is my favourite. Avoid the whinge session. Whinge